Call the Plan Commission of June 24th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please.
Hannah here.
Ouch here.
David Chair.
Guzikowski here.
Oldani here.
Seifert here.
Chandler here.
And item 3 is the approval of the minutes of June 10th, 2025. Everybody take a moment. And you are satisfied there's no errors, omissions, corrections, or discussion? Motion?
Seifert moves to approve the minutes of June 10th, 2025.
Oldani will second.
Roll call, beginning with Chris.
Hannah, aye.
Ouch aye.
Gavich, aye.
Guzikowski, aye.
Oldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler abstains.
Okay. Item 4, site and agricultural review plans for the building and related plans. It's a new multifamily residential building located at 2348, 2398 West Colonial Woods Drive. We've seen this one before, and it's coming back to us. So, Todd.
Yes, correct. So you are very familiar with this proposal. As you saw it on March 25th, at that time they were proposing it as rental units, which was of concern. So we tabled it to be at the May 27th meeting. So it was on the agenda May 27th. In that time, no other changes made to the plans. However, at the May 27th meeting, there were still concerns from commissioners and public as far as some of the details of the development. So we, again, tabled it at that point to today's meeting, the June 24th meeting. But again, between that time, there's been no other changes to the site, the architecture of it. So just to kind of give a quick run through, since you've seen this twice already, again, this is a proposal to build just one 16-unit multifamily residential building on the site of Colonial Woods. This was originally rezoned, had a PUD and site plan approved in 2006. Part of that approval included building 5 duplexes, 3 8-unit buildings, and 4 16-unit buildings. Since that time, all of the buildings have been built with exception of 3 of those 4 16-unit buildings. You can see from this site plan that those 3 are colored in gray, and we're here tonight to discuss building number 5, which is the darker gray, which is on the corner there, South Orchard Way and Colonial Woods Drive. Again, this building would be 16 units, all 2 bedrooms, 4 of them having also a den. It's to include 30 parking spaces underground in a garage. It's only required 16, so certainly meeting that. And the access to that garage would be off the public road, which is South Orchard Way. In addition, they're going to be finishing a surface parking lot to west of the building, which would have 9 spaces for visitors with access off of West Colonial Drive. There's also a sidewalk existing there that would give access for pedestrians to the building. The architecture for the building is just complements the buildings already there, matching their architecture with the traditional design, the red brick, cream colored cement siding, the balconies on the front, the gabled roof, again, fitting in with the buildings existing on site, matching those. This is just the view this was the view from the front and rear, and then this is the views from the west elevation, which would be facing the other units or the other buildings on site, and the 9 spaces, parking lot with the 9 spaces, sorry. The other right east elevation would be that facing South Orchard Way, which you can see the garage there to access for the the garage door to access the parking. As far as landscaping, again, they'll be having 5 shade trees planted along Colonial Drive, and building foundation landscaping as well along the west, south, and eastern corner, southeast corner of the building, meeting requirements for both current landscaping code and those plans approved back in 2006. Lighting, they are looking to only add wall-mounted fixtures, 26 in total, along mostly that southern front facade of the building. All the fixtures are going to be directed downward and 3,000 Kelvin or less for color temperature. Staff has prepared the following suggested motion, and I believe the applicant's here for questions.
Okay. Before I ask the applicant up, I just want to bring you guys up to speed. So shortly after our meeting, whenever it was, the parties came together. We had a meeting here at City Hall. So we had the Homeowners Association. We had Pathway Homes, representative from Pathway Homes as well. What we really had to do was sort this out, because things really got all over the place the last time through. We talked about the cul-de-sac and the whole thing. We really have to do, the cul-de-sac, still, they're working through it between the parties. When I say the parties, I'm talking about Homeowners Association and Stepping Stone Homes, which is a subsidiary of Pathway Homes. Track of this. That's a separate subject. Right now, what we're dealing with is 16 families. And in question was, the very first question was, were they going to join the Homeowners Association? In that meeting, as to my knowledge, yes, that building was going to join the association. Okay? So from a city's perspective, by them being part of the association, they will pay into that road in some way, shape, or form monetarily, and that'll be worked out between Pathway Homes as well as the association. So that means they do have access to that road, which gets them to that western lot with the 9 parking spots, the visitor park. That leaves us with dealing with the building. This is a real kind of weird unicorn, because the developer never finished the development. So, poor Colonial Woods got stuck with a half-baked cake. Pathway came in and bought it. They're working it out between the Homeowners Association and Pathway going forward, not only on this building, but the other 2 buildings. Right now, we're looking at the site and architectural plans for that northern building. Okay? But at this time, I do see some of the folks that were in that meeting with me from the association, and a couple folks from Pathway as well. I'll invite Pathway up if we can just talk about that agreement. Is that agreement in place, or where are we at? Is there somebody here from Pathway? Come on up, sir. I need your name and address.
Jonathan Lujak, address 790 North Water Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm here tonight on behalf of HomePath Pathway.
HomePath, did I say it
HomePath.
wrong?
I think you might have earbugged me. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Correct me, because I'm going off memory.
Doing business as Stepping Stone Homes. So with respect to that mutual agreement, there was a letter that was shared over the past couple days outlining some of the work on the roadway that Stepping Stone Homes will perform as part of building this building. So I think that now at this stage, there's frankly a cordial relationship between Stepping Stone Homes and the HOA. And with respect to the work that's going to be done, HomePath will be contributing certain funds to the association as well as performing certain work too. But with respect to a formal agreement, nothing has been proposed in that sense. We have a letter outlining work. But I think the last exchange that we had late this afternoon was that if there is a desire to have a formal memorandum of understanding that's countersigned by each parties, the parties are willing to work toward that. So I think from HomePath's perspective, no more agreement is necessarily required at this stage, but they're of course willing to continue to entertain this and work with the HOA as needed. I think it's safe to say both are on the same wavelength at this point. And then, Mayor, as you outlined, thank you before for the context you provided for what's on the agenda tonight. The only item is whether or not the building and the site plan meets the code and whether or not this project can now move forward. So I guess to that end, given the staff recommendation for approval, there's the respectful request for approval this evening. If there are any questions, happy to answer those.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear you're on the same wavelength, but if that wavelength changes and we approve it tonight and we give access to you to use that private road, and there's nothing in writing to join the HOA and it all falls apart, you just got approval to use somebody's driveway to access your building. So how do we get around that?
So the building that is being built as part of a condominium development.
Is that signed and is that?
The development exists, the units exist under the condominium.
I understand the HOA exists.
The HOA exists, right?
There's a document saying you're joining the HOA.
The units are already part of the HOA. The units exist.
Okay, it looks like people are agreeing to that.
So
Okay.
the building that we will construct will further be subject to the declaration
Thank you
moving
for that,
forward.
sir, because that means you will be contributing monetarily to
Correct.
the upkeep of that private road.
Correct.
That's the question, because that's part of the site plan is how you're going to access your land. So from a city's perspective, I think that satisfies.
Okay. Any other questions?
We'll go to the council. I'm going to I know there's a lot of representatives here from the HOA, but if we can just have one or two spokespersons, and then I'm going to go to the commission. Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you.
Maria Wen Engenar, 2540 West Colonial Woods. So I'm one of the board members. To my understanding, after we had the meeting, there was a letter that was sent to both the city and HomePath representative, just outlining what was discussed and who was going to follow up and do what. And then we have not drafted a memo of understanding, but we plan to. That we're working with Amy, our lawyer for the HOA. So, and in that memo of understanding is what we would outline what we think, come to an agreement.
Well, what's in that document is really between your HOA and Pathway, HomePath.
HomePath?
I got to get that right. HomePath.
So to my understanding from our documents, that until it is constructed and occupied, and that's where they'll pay into that, the dues, is when they're part of the HOA.
Correct, and there was going to be an escrow put down as
Correct, additional, yeah.
well. Okay, from a
So-
city's perspective, and I'm kind of doing this for the commission. From the city's perspective, that's what we're talking about. And there were other discussions as well concerning cul-de-sacs and everything else. I thought it was very productive, quite frankly. So
Agree.
please continue down that path. I do think HomePath is sincere in what they're trying to accomplish with the representatives that were in that room.
We're in agreement. So like, I think we just haven't come to that, signed portion of it, but, hopefully we're going down that route to do it and do
Make
it
sure
properly.
you get there.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. With that, is there any other person from the association who would like to speak? Okay, with that, I will go to the commission. Start on my right. Commissioner Chandler.
Okay, I do have a question for the applicant, and it may have been answered on
Okay.
what you said, Mayor, but I just want to check to make sure I'm understanding. Okay, and so with this agreement, then any updates to the roads and that cul-de-sac will be taken care of? Am I understanding?
Cul-de-sac ain't part of it.
Oh, that's not.
That, they're gonna have to
Okay.
work that out between their parties. All we wanted to know is that the homeowners association is in some way, shape, or form granting them permission on that road, and by virtue of becoming part of the association, they'll be contributing, they'll be part owners of that road.
And that's the same road that all the construction trucks and stuff are coming down? Is this the
It
same
is,
one?
which is yet another caveat, all the same, but
Okay. And then another question or clarity. So to our understanding, it started as apartments and now it's condos. So what has changed?
I'm sorry, the first part of your question was it started as a
Apartments,
apartments.
yes, and changed to condos.
So my understanding is that the development was always set up as a condominium, which is a private ownership interest. There may have been discussions about potentially leasing out the units themselves. I know, or at least my understanding at this point is any changes regarding the leasing rules under the condominium declaration is an ongoing conversation with the HOA at this point. And HomePath is willing to work with them on that. But as of right now, the units will continue to stand on their own as separate individual property interests.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Fred?
I'd like to just know, are both parties in agreement right now?
Still working out the fine tuning of, with the memo of understanding between our lawyer and then their home path representative. So we haven't outlined everything. We outlined what we discussed, but we have not signed off and gone back and forth redlining or anything of that sort. We're, honestly, from the meeting till now, we only have that email outlining from our lawyers to HomePath, and we're still working out on that detail. So it's not like everything has been, yes, they said they'll go for this, and we agree to it yet. So no,
So right now, you haven't
We're s-
signed anything.
correct. And we have not said yes to it all or none of it or anything. So we're still working out all of our discrepancies. Now that we have a context, so we're at least having a conversation with someone and not just being one-sided and trying to figure it all out.
In general, do you feel comfortable with what you're coming up with in your agreement?
I can't speak for everyone, but as a board, I think, that was a good start, that conversation, and, we're gonna work through it. As he was saying earlier, that, his understanding is just gonna be condos. When they submitted it, the application as apartments was where we're like, what? And, and then not having any context. That's why all the homeowners came up and, latched on a little bit. But right now, I it's too early. Like, we still need to work out all that details still. And I, coming from a legal background, want everything down written and, have both parties sign.
Do you feel that you can finally come up with an agreement with,
I think so. I think we're working that way. So I think we're moving that way. As long,
it's better than what it was before, correct?
yes, because now we have someone on their side to kind of explain to us some of the questions. And I think there's even, I think it was Ashley that was saying there's just a lot of pieces that we didn't know, such as we didn't know about, that road, that cul-de-sac wasn't part of the purchase. We got through a little bit of that. So like it takes some time. So I think we're working towards it, but I don't think we're, there.
And the key to it is they join the HOA, putting into the city's perspective. That's the issue. What goes in that agreement, how much money, and what they do between the homeowners association and HomePath. And that's what they're working on. But again, Home Path testified they will be condos. They will be joining.
Okay.
Yes.
To the units, the building itself, the units are condos today. They're part of the condominium today. So there's not an additional joining action, to be clear. It will be subject to the declaration right away. Today, we're talking about the building site approval, right? So I understand they go hand in hand.
Well, it's
But-
two things.
Well, they are two separate things, but in terms of the units existing,
The units always existed that way. They were all
Right.
separate tax keys, even when you plan to do them as apartments.
right, and so,
Well,
but
well,
there's no other, excuse me, sorry, go ahead.
No, the key is when they were apartments, you weren't pumping any money into the association to help pay for that road. Now, just tell me, they will be condos, and you will be part of that association. Are you a part of it now?
The units are part of the condominium association now. Once
Okay.
they're, yeah,
Okay, then,
yeah,
Dues have not been paid.
well, because of the obligation to pay dues commences
upon construction, okay.
there would be no additional approval action or granting action. It's upon the completion of construction. That's when the obligation to make the assessments into the HOA exists, but the units themselves are still part of the HOA today.
That's where the escrow money came in. Okay,
So that's where we want the agreement to be signed and then, say that we're in a good.
okay. That agreement's with you guys, but as for our knowledge, they're condos, paying it. Okay, Fred, you still got the floor.
Okay. We're all done.
Oh, okay. Don,
Let's see here, whose name? Oh, you're both on there. Todd and Christie. Is anything we're talking about here, or is these plans contingent on anything we're talking about here? All right, then I have no questions on the plans. Thank you.
okay, Chris,
All of my questions have been answered.
Steve,
Yeah, all my questions have been answered as well.
hey, Christine.
No question, thank you.
Okay, I actually have building questions, to tell you the truth. Dumpsters, where are you putting them? I mean, I see them on the plan. Are we looking, are they westerly or are they sitting off of?
They are off Orchard Way, so they're going to be screened by when you're driving into the driveway off of Orchard Way to get to their garage off to the right there. There would be, that's housing their dumpsters.
Okay, they're masonry?
Yeah, the surround enclosure.
They're
yeah.
surrounded. Just landscape because, man, I really hate to say it, that's a public street. You know, hang on, man, you can't, sorry, you can't talk from the gallery, whatever we call it, the audience. Okay, but yeah, the gate may be made of a composite, but the rest of it will be brick.
That, yeah, I believe it is, yes.
Sprinklers. Stormwater, anything with stormwater.
Yeah, I believe it. Engineering's been working with them and had voiced no concerns. And they'll continue to work with them for stormwater.
Jeff, anything from fire? Fire's indicating nothing. As long as I got him here. Mike and Brian, anything on this one? You got some kind of weird loop that's got to go through there or anything? Okay. No, other than that, I mean, you know, it's a beautiful complex the way it is. And I'm glad it's all matching. The parties still have to work those things out. between them, but for the most part, I think the building does look okay. It's never really been a question of the building. Landscape does seem adequate. Handicap parking spot. Street parking. So, I know we have a contractor here, so let's just touch on maintenance and cleanup during construction. Name and address.
Sam Swan. I'm here on behalf of Dufek Construction. Address is 1078 Baxter Street. We would provide street sweeping and watering as needed on Orchard Way as well as Colonial Woods for the duration of the project.
Okay. Which way do you plan to kind of bring your trucks in? Down Colonial Woods, off Orchard Way?
Most of it would be coming off Orchard Way. There would probably
It'll
be
come down Honadel.
there would probably be some contractor parking along Colonial Woods, staging materials, but for the most part, most truck activity is coming off of Orchard Way.
Okay. Folks are all happy. Hey. It's just the way this project's going. Okay, just do your
I have a
best.
question.
Keep it clean, yes.
So what is your hours of work?
Whatever the city ordinance is, obviously, but typical hours of working is like 7:30 to 3.
In your contract, what is your hours of work? Don't you have a contract as a
My hours of work?
contractor? No, as a contractor with the designer or with a city. Who's your contract with?
The city defines when they can start and
Okay.
finish. As a contractor, if he wants to pay the overtime, he can have them start at 5 in the morning, but we don't allow it.
Yeah.
I believe our working hours are, don't even hold me to this. Thank you, Brian. 7 to 8? 7 to 8. 7 to 8.
Yeah, we don't intend to work before or after that, or
The
weekends.
contract is with the city?
No, the city ordinance is you can't begin making construction. You know, like, you're not supposed to be mowing your lawn before that. People do. You know, we do want some semblance of quiet, people sleeping. So those are considered working hours. As far as what he wants to have his men to work, but he can't violate city ordinance.
Okay, who's your contract with?
Not sure I understand the question.
Like, you have a contract, you sign a contract as a contractor with someone to construct the project.
Dufek Construction, we're the general contractor, so our contract would be with Home Path Financial and
Perfect.
Stepping Stone Homes.
So what is your special provision that was in the contract with that? Like, for example, you have to clean the road, and how often
That's city ordinance.
still? City
Yeah,
ordinance?
we'd come in, so if somebody complained on Orchard Way, Colonial Woods, or elsewhere on the boulevard, then we'd go out.
For context, we did the Lakeshore Commons project, and if you're familiar with that, we provided street sweeping, watering throughout the whole project, so very familiar with
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I do have another question.
go ahead.
Maybe for the applicant or contractor, I'm not sure who. In regards to parking, so there's a garage for each unit? Is that how this is being constructed?
It's below grade parking structure, and there's a total of 30 parking spaces in that structure, as well as 9 surface for guests. So there's over 2 per unit within the garage.
And so if there are more guests than 9 cars, is there other locations for parking?
I believe street parking
Just
along
street
Orchard
parking.
Way is
And then, that was it. Thank you.
okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, motion.
Oldani moves that the Plan Commission approves the site, building, and related plans for construction of a new multifamily residential building to be located at 2348 through 2398 West Colonial Woods Drive, be approved with the following conditions. 1, that all relevant code requirements remain in effect. 2, that all mechanicals, transformers, and utilities, all mechanical equipment, transformers, and utility boxes, ground building, and rooftops shall be screened from view.
Seepert seconds.
Roll call, beginning with Steve.
Bouch, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Oldani, aye.
Seepert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
And I.
Okay, guys, work that language out, that language. Item 5, site and agricultural plans for modifications to and a building addition to the Oak Creek Water Treatment Facility, and it is located at 9325 South Fifth Avenue. This is by our own Brian Johnston of Oak Creek Water and Sewer Utility. Todd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, as you noted, that this is the city's water treatment facility, and it's located on South Fifth Avenue, just north of East Ryan Road, zoned institutional with a conditional use for water storage and high service distribution pump facilities. They are proposing modifications and building additions, actually that are requirements from the DNR, so to meet their what they're being asked to do. Their site plan includes the addition of a roughly 6,700 square foot pump station building, and also about a 5,500 square foot chlorine contact tank building. The tank will be contained within that building. You can see those on the rendering labeled. They'll also be eliminating or removing some of the chain link fence that's on site, replacing that with an 8-foot tall decorative security fence that will be enclosing the new area here with the giving security to the buildings, wrapping around front with a security gate. They'll also be removing one of the 3 existing access drives, the most northern of the 3 drives, and replacing that with a new access drive just slightly north of that. With that addition, there'll be 3 parking spaces added on site, and an addition of about 21,000 square feet of impervious surface as a result. Architecturally, have a rendering up there for you. They're going to be using, it's going to have a brick facade to match existing buildings on site. In addition, again, as I mentioned, it will have that black decorative metal fence facing the street. Much nice improvement since in relation to the chain link that was there before. As far as landscaping on site, the conditional use that was approved back in 2015 called for landscaping that would act as a screening from casual view as seen from the public right-of-way. As you can see from their landscape plan, they have a significant amount of trees and shrubs that they are planting throughout the street yard, both facing towards South Fifth Avenue and then also to the north, American Avenue. So essentially, if you're on either one of these streets and looking towards the building, they'll be acting as screening for the building facilities in the back. There was a tree preservation plan also submitted, and it was noted that in order to accommodate the new building and the drive, that they'd be eliminating 11 trees that would otherwise need to be preserved. So as the ordinance calls for, they'll be planting 34 new trees as replacements. As for lighting, they'll be adding lighting, 9 pole-mounted lights along the new driveway, each of those being 15 feet tall and essentially identical to all the other lights that are on site. And then also adding 3 wall-mounted fixtures to the western elevation of the new buildings. All those lights will also be directed downward and color temperature of 5,000 Kelvin or less, meeting city requirements. Brian's here for questions. Otherwise, staff has prepared that suggested motion on the screen.
Thank you, Todd. Brian, would you like to say a few words before the commission takes it on? Hey, thanks for the bailout on
Yeah. Good evening, Commissioners. Brian Johnston, Oak Creek Utility Engineer. I don't have any comments for you. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have on the project.
Okay. Christine?
I have no question, thank you.
Steve?
Oh, looks like a well thought out plan, no questions.
Chris?
No questions.
Don?
No questions.
Fred?
I have a few questions. Okay, the underground chlorine tank that you have now, is that going to be, I'm sure, going to be eliminated? And will you tear it up and take it out, or are you going to just leave it in the ground?
It's going to be abandoned in place. We're going to leave it in the ground.
So you're going to leave it in the ground?
Yes.
Okay. Number two, are you having a new entrance coming into the facility with these two buildings that you're adding?
There will be additional entrances coming into the pump station, but not really a new entrance, no public entrance. It'll just be staff entrances. The main entrance on the south side of the building will still continue to the main entrance to the plant.
Okay, so you'll maintain the same entrance that you have?
Yes.
Okay. And how are we doing with the DNR? Their approval?
We have submitted to the PSC. Last week we submitted to the PSC, and the week prior we submitted to the DNR. So it's too early to tell how we're doing yet, but they are in their hands, and hopefully in the next 6 months we'll have an approval.
Okay. That should do it. Thank you.
Aussie?
No questions, thank you.
Brian, obviously, we have to keep the old system in operation until the other one is not only installed, but tested, troubleshot, and the whole thing. Just timeline on the project.
3 years.
Not much needed.
Yes.
This is a mandate.
Yes, absolutely. And it is kind of shoehorned in between the existing facilities, so you know that adds to the construction schedule. It's going to be tight, and we'll get her.
But it's good for the environment. 34 trees.
One thing on the landscaping I did want to point out, that north half, where all those trees are planted, that is going to be prairie grass.
Oh, okay.
So that's not going to be a mowed, maintained area. We'll have a mow strip around the outside, but that whole area will be prairie with trees in it.
Okay. Good area for it. Jeff, I know you just walked in, but anything from fire? Okay, thank you. Okay, I have no further questions. There's no further discussion. Motion.
Seibert moves that the Planning Commission approves the site and architectural plans for site modification and a building addition at the City of Oak Creek Water Treatment Facility located at 9325 South 5th Avenue.
Guzikowski will second.
Roll call, beginning with myself. Aye.
Guzikowski, aye.
Ladani, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Anna, I.
Bouch, aye.
Okay. Item 6 is consideration of a conditional use permit and restrictions. It's for a contractor shop office and a yard at Safeway Transport. And it's an existing business at 6925 South 6th Street, Suite 100. Todd?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You may all be familiar with this site as last December, Transport Refrigeration came for a conditional use for outdoor storage. They occupy suites 200 through 500. Safeway Transportation Services occupies Suite 100 at this same building, roughly 13,000 square feet of this building. And so as Mayor said, they're proposing a conditional use for a contract, or we're seeking a conditional use for a contractor shop office, contractor's yard. They provide transportation services for Milwaukee Public Schools. Their proposed operations over there, which actually have been operating for several months already. Their hours are from 5 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. The building consists of offices, a maintenance garage, do service and maintenance on their buses, and storage warehousing for parts related to that. That's all indoor. Outdoor, they will have be storing their vehicles all in the rear of the building or the north. That will include 21 buses, 6 passenger vans. You'll see from the site plan that the location for the buses, which are indicated as purple, that's where they'll be storing their school buses, and in blue is where they'll be storing the passenger vans that they provide service. They also have 41 parking spaces for employees that you see labeled with yellow in the back, and their portion in front of Suite 1 to the south of the building. Based on their use, they would be required to have 39 parking spaces. They have 41. Notable conditions and restrictions. The parking areas for the outdoor storage of buses and passenger vans shall be only as shown on the approved site plan, and that there'll be no parking or storage of buses outside of these approved areas. They'll be limited to 21 buses and 6 passenger vans, and are allowed to have no other storage or materials outside. And as noted, their hours of operation will be from 5 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. You've seen this slide before. If needed, again, these are the review criteria for conditional use. I'm not going to read those. We've read those in the past, but if need, I can bring these up for your review. Leave the applicant here for questions. Otherwise, staff has prepared the following suggested motion.
Thank you, Todd. I will ask applicant, anybody want to say anything or wait on questions? Wait on questions are indicating. Okay. Christine?
I have no question, thank you.
Steve?
No questions.
Chris?
No question.
Don?
No questions.
Okay, Fred?
No questions at this time.
Chauncey?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. I don't. Existing building. Just, there is some crushed concrete there. There was some remediation, and it's needed to the property. It's going to remain that way. But there's no parking on it, correct?
So that is in the rear of the building, and they will be parking on that surface, as was.
It's allowed by the DNR, though.
It's allowed for parking. What the DNR does not allow, or I should say, if there's any disturbance of what's there, that reopens the file for the DNR, which it was, I guess, a previous occupant of that site. I think it was even before that building was built, had created contamination. They did clean up there, but there was still on-site contained underneath that surface. So it's been determined over time that, if they disturb this, it's going to open up the file for the DNR, and they'll have to do significant cleanup on site. So for each conditional use, we've been allowing the crushed asphalt.
Strictly parking. No mechanics going on outside or storage of material.
According to their narrative, they'll just be parking their vehicles outside, and they have a garage space interior to bring vehicles in for minor repairs, service.
Anything from fire? Any concerns? Okay. Seeing none, motion.
Oldani moves that the Plan Commission recommends that the Common Council approves a conditional use permit for a contractor's shop and office and contractor's yard at Safeway Transportation Services Corporation, an existing business located at 6925 South 6th Street, Suite 100, submitted by Criselda De Leon, Safeway Transportation Services Corporation, after a public hearing and subject to conditions and restrictions.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call, beginning with Chris.
Guzekowski, aye.
Oldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Hannah, aye.
Bouch, aye.
David, aye. Okay, thank you, folks. Item 7, sign plan amendment. For the relocation of Drexel Town Square monument sign located at 7935 South Main Street. God,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you may all be familiar with this monument sign, as it is along Drexel, just west of Main Street out there in our Drexel Town Square. So the applicant is proposing to relocate this multi-tenant monument sign to make space for a proposed development on the site, which is actually the next item on our agenda. The current location of the sign was approved with a sign plan back in 2014. This sign map key is the map from that approval. This was indicated here as A on this map. So we're looking to amend this and to relocate the sign. You can see from the site plan to the right with the red arrow showing the existing monument sign location, which you can see the building's going to go right where that is. And they're looking to move it 90 feet west along Drexel, new location in the northwest portion of that lot. As part of that, they will be vacating the existing sign easement in which the sign currently is, and they will be establishing a new sign easement at that location, at the new location, and you'll see that as a condition of approval. So staff has prepared the suggested motion on the screen. Otherwise, I believe that the applicant's here for questions.
okay, thank you. Applicant want to say anything or wait on questions? Just gonna wait. Okay, Chauncey,
No questions, thank you.
Fred?
Are we dealing with one sign?
The one monument sign, and then of course the businesses that reside in Town Square. So if you go in your packet, there is an example. Lily's Nails, Yoga 6, Forward Dental, Hand and Stone, Chocolate Factory, Bel Air is probably on
Okay, thank you.
there. Oh, and
Right
John.
here. No, no questions, thanks.
Chris?
No questions.
Steve?
No questions.
Just one question. When you say it's going to be replaced with commercial, right? Because it's zone commercial, this area, this lot?
I mean, the whole area is designed with the Drexel Town Square mixed-use plan development district. That's the full name of the district.
Okay,
Yes.
like it can be developed like a fast food restaurant or a coffee shop or something?
Well, at this point, we're talking about the sign relocating, but yes, the next item is a multi-tenant building there, and they will have to follow the uses that are allowed within
Okay.
that district.
Thank you.
Okay. I take it the brick basis stand. Basically, they're moving.
Yeah, they're
what
moving
we
the whole
see.
thing as is.
Is there any chance of making the graphics bigger? I'm getting no's from everybody tonight. Holy smokes. I know. I'm asking for a lot, but I actually know I'm asking the wrong people about graphics. But, I was always a little, I thought they were a little underwhelming. That's all. Otherwise, no, I don't have a reason. They're still in the same line of sight. East to west, so should not bother anything traffic-wise. they still will be illuminated.
There'll be what?
They will be illuminated.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the exact same
Exact
sign,
Same thing.
different same
90
sign,
feet
different
down.
location.
Okay.
And there'll be landscaping around it, as you'll see from the landscaping plan that they have associated with with the project that's going in there. That's concept.
Perfect. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, motion?
Seifert moves that the Plan Commission approves the amended to the sign and light plan for Drexel Town Square with the following conditions. 1, that all relevant code requirements remain in effect. 2, that an existing easement for the current location of the sign is vacated and a new easement is recorded for the new sign location.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call, beginning with Don.
Oldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Hannah, aye.
Bouch, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Guzekowski.
Okay. Item 8 is site plans and architectural review for the construction of a multi-tenant commercial building located at 7935 South Main. Todd?
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, and so this is why the sign is being moved. They are proposing that multi-tenant commercial building at that site. Here's the proposed site plan is for a one-story, roughly 8,700 square foot building with 3 tenant spaces, each of them to have a patio space on the south elevation of it, or south side of the building. Note that those patio spaces will need to be enclosed with a railing or a fence, and you'll see as a condition of the approval. On the west side of the building, for the westmost tenant, there is a pickup window there. As you know, this lot currently has parking, paved parking, and as you're aware, Drexel Town Square relies on shared parking, encourages shared parking throughout. So they are looking to, of course, expand the parking lot as part of this proposal, and that would give them 50 parking spaces on site, but combined between this lot and the lot to the west that's already developed, there'll be 142 parking spaces shared between them. Looking at potential uses, both retail and restaurant for those two combined buildings, this one and the one that's already built next door. You would need to have 88 to 128 parking spaces to accommodate. So they're proposing 142 with this plan. They're also proposing in the southeast corner of the lot a synthetic turf dog potty area that you'll see later too is screened by landscaping to the street. In front of you, or in this application, you'll see that they have actually 2 alternate site plans, and in relation to the dumpster location. They are currently trying to work out with the property to the west. They have a dumpster already there with actually gates that face, actually gates on both the east and west side, so would be potentially for sharing that dumpster location with the new building. But in the event, and that dumpster is right there where my cursor is, but in the event that they are unable to utilize that dumpster, they're proposing this alternate plan to where they would be locating a dumpster on site at the southwest corner of their lot. That enclosure would be exactly like the others on site, which would be a gray painted cinder block material with the metal gate. If this were the final plan, it would reduce the parking by 3 spaces, but you would still have nearly 140 shared site parking spaces on site between the two. So still ample parking for the uses possible uses there. Architectural, you can see the rendering that they provided along with elevation drawings, building to be very consistent with the other buildings within Drexel Town Square with its cladding and metal accents, storefront glazing and parapet walls. So I have the east and north elevation here shown. Looking at it from the south and west here, again, you can see that if you're familiar with Drexel Town Square, as I'm sure you are, it's fitting in with the existing architecture as far as its appearance. As far as landscaping, fairly robust landscaping around the parking perimeter and building foundation to give screening to the parking, and as I mentioned, the pet area too. They'll be adding interior parking lot landscaping with shade trees and ground cover islands. Proposed landscaping meets the requirements of municipal code. As for lighting plan, there is one existing double-headed light pole there because I had mentioned there's already a parking lot on site. So keeping that and adding in 9 more pole-mounted fixtures, 4 of those being double-headed and 5 single-headed to illuminate the parking area. And then they are proposing 4 wall-mounted fixtures, mainly above entrances. So the 3 entrances facing Drexel each have one above its doorway and then one in the rear for the center middle tenant. Again, all those will be directed downward and meeting the 5,000 Kelvin per color temperature. I believe applicants are here if you have questions. Otherwise, staff has prepared the suggested motion you see on the screen.
Say
I do have questions for the applicant.
Hello, I'm Eric Gebhardt with Rinka Architects.
Sean Phelan with Phelan Development.
My first question is in regards to the type of tenants. So what type of tenants would be in these 3 locations?
They would be restaurant uses, and then we also have a third use, which is a veterinary.
Okay, and then for the safety of those that may be using the patio, can you share some information on how you could ensure the safety of the people as well as, I think it's a dog place out there too, since you have a lot of cars coming up and parking pretty close to that area?
Yeah, there will be fencing.
Oh, fencing around it? And then one final thing, in regards to the walkway, where is, just to keep everyone safe, is there actual marking somewhere so you can see the walkway where people can walk towards the 3 locations to keep them safe?
Yeah, absolutely. Being off Main Street to the east, there's a lot of street lighting, and then we're providing adequate site lighting throughout the parking lot. There were some dull spaces along the egress path to the north, so we added some building-mounted lighting there as well.
Any markings on the ground for safe space where individuals can walk as well?
Well, we have sidewalks, private walks around our site that then connect to the public sidewalk to the east, and we have the handicap and accessible parking drive aisles striped. We'll have site signage, but that's all the striping that we have right now in the plans.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm a little concerned about the drive-through. I think
That's not a drive-through.
It's not a drive-through.
it's not a drive-through.
No, it's just a pickup window. So there's no.
Sure looks like a drive-through to me.
It's not.
It is not.
No, because a drive-through has.
What what is the purpose for that little break and
Purely pickup. A drive-through is a place where someone places an order at a sign. The sign's illuminated. There's queuing that takes place. This is a pickup window that's specifically set up to pick up the order. So there's no cash that changes hands or credit cards. It's all paid for online through their app, and it's merely a pickup. And so what happens is the customer is notified when their order is ready, and then they go and they pick it up.
They drive through and pick it up. To say it's not a drive-through, I mean, come on. You're driving through, whether you're making the order transaction, at the end of the day, you're taking your car all the way around just like you would a drive-through, and you're picking it up at a window where you don't get out of your car, your arms reach out, you're making the handoff, and that's fine, but to say it's not a drive-through really isn't true. You're driving through. End of story. And that's fine. I'm not saying I'm even against it, but let's not pretend that it's not something it's not. You're driving through to pick something up. That's all I'm saying. And I think that's what Fred's point was here. Sorry, Fred.
no problem. Thank you. I appreciate it, Don.
Okay, so clearly that's where one of the food places are going to be. You got a pickup window there. Is there going to be any provisions made for possible future, if you did want to add a sign and a speaker, is that going to be roughed in case that change needs to be made in the future?
No.
Okay. Other than that, I don't really have a whole lot of questions. The plan looks pretty decent to me. I'm just glad it's not a bank.
Like money? Chris?
I think it looks good, thank you.
Steve?
Going back to the pickup area, do you think that's enough parking? Is that, to believe that's gonna work out? Will there be just 1 or 2 cars there? If there's any kind of a backup, that's gonna create quite a mess in that area. So the way that's gonna be timed out, it's only gonna be 1 or 2 cars sitting there at all times?
Correct.
Okay.
Until they notify you, and if there is a queue, we've got, I believe, six spaces to wait if it was in peak hours.
Can you speak up a little louder into the microphone when you're talking, please?
Sure.
Okay, no further questions.
Okay, Christine?
Yeah, I just looked on Google Map. This entrance of this parcel is controlled by a stop sign, isn't it? Okay. So have you looked at the volume of the traffic entering those fast food restaurants and how much, if they do accumulate and back up on Drexel?
We did provide our peak usage to the team. I believe a global traffic study was done for the entire development.
Okay.
That included this use.
Okay.
Of approximately this size. So we feel comfortable knowing that it's the entryway to the development, that it'll be safe and controlled. We're maintaining all the existing sidewalks that are currently there and actually building more pathways into the development for people. And then I'll also note, being the entryway to Drexel Town Square on Main Street, we're using some similar materials to the bank across the street there, so that the entryway looks consistent and really nicely coordinated. So.
Yeah. Is there gonna be any changes to the access to your development here? Because I see there's a median. So is this gonna be open somehow, or it's just gonna be exactly the same as existing today?
I believe we're adding a curb cut to the south there. There's one already to the south and then a second. So no other changes. You couldn't enter from the north. You cannot enter from the east. It's only from the south or the adjacent site to the west.
Okay. Is this going to impact like tropical smoothies or any other businesses around this area, no?
No, in fact, it would technically add some shared parking
Okay.
capacity for everyone.
And the height of the building, especially closer to Drexel, is this going to add any like side distance issues or anything like that?
No, we don't feel so. We're at right around 20 feet at the low parapet and 26 at the corner. And a lot of that is also helping to hide our mechanical units, so that'll all be screened on the roof.
Okay. I would just recommend, especially at night, at this area, it will be good illumination so people can stop, and not everybody stops, so they can see who's driving and who's not, and who's stopping and who's not.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Just a couple questions. Transformer pad kind of sits on that island. How's that going to be screened?
Right now, I believe we've got landscaping in that area currently.
Got it north and south, but east and west.
Side east-west, yeah.
Narrow.
Yeah, we got a little tight in that northwest corner with moving the sign and the other landscaping elements, but we could, make that a condition of approval to screen that better.
We can work with staff with regards to it.
Yeah, it's pretty prominent right there. See it off track, see it elsewhere. The dog pad. Really noble of you to put that in there. Who's going to clean it up?
Well, it's going to be properly drained, number one. Number two, it's we're in our lease negotiations right now, and the responsibility of that is being worked out with the specific tenant and us as the landlord.
Okay, because it kind of sits right on a corner. I don't know if there's a sidewalk on that side. I know a sidewalk exists on the other side, but there's definitely a sidewalk on Main Street there, and we do our best to put out doggy bags and everything like that. And sometimes our best ain't enough for our residents.
We'll ensure that it's clean because, or taken care of properly, simply because being the owner across the street with Forge and Flair, it's important to make sure that that's taken care of.
Yeah, we don't want that on that corner. Anyways, if it's gonna go there, really need it maintained. And last but not least, so the dumpsters, you got them drawn up in two places. I think shared would be very nice, efficient, whole thing. I don't know where you're at.
That's our goal.
Because those things have to go somewhere. It's just if you do put it in that southwest corner, you'll block it with landscape, but there's no way to block it from the west. Not against it, so otherwise I think it's a pretty sharp looking building. I think it'll be a good addition to cap off Main Street there. Pretty good.
Thank you.
I have a question yet.
Yeah, go ahead, Fred.
That southwest entrance that you have, which comes in, I think it's a little confusing with the parking that you have and trying to get to building 2. And I just think that the traffic pattern that you have there is not the best. People coming in and you have people trying to park at the same time and come out on that particular entrance, and I think it's a little dangerous. I don't like it. Matter of fact, I'm not pleased with the whole layout of the parking. I think it needs some modification and improvement.
And we did try to have a bit wider drive aisle between, and then hope that with the surrounding site walks, that would help
Curve and a
pedestrians.
sidewalk and coming in, I just think it's kind of congested. So
With the new
I think
plan,
you have a problem on that particular curve coming in with the parking and the entrance of the traffic flow.
It's always been tight through there with the back end of Bel Air and going into Associated Bank, Smoothie, Edward Jones. It's always kind of meant to be shared, but it's not as wide open, definitely, as you go east by Petco and things like that. There's a little more business and commerce going on there as well. Tough.
Just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, it is. I mean, definitely that is a very busy area there with Bentley and haircuts, but you do have to pay attention. Okay. Any-
Dan, I have one more follow-up question.
Yeah.
On the proposed sharing of the dumpster, is that sharing the area, you would add another dumpster, or sharing the existing dumpsters?
Sharing the existing dumpers.
So they must not fill it up every week or however often? Or maybe additional pickup times, is that
Yeah, it'll all be based on the amount of volume.
the amount of need? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that was my only, I was just kind of curious how that was going to work. That's it.
Just, I guess, two last things. One, stormwater, I imagine is part of the Drexel
Correct.
Square. Good there. Fire, any concerns, Jeff? Okay. Any other further discussion, questions? Not, motion.
Oldani moves that the Plan Commission approves the site and architectural plans for construction of a multi-tenant commercial building to be located at 7935 South Main Street with the following conditions. 1, that all relevant code requirements remain in effect. 2, that revised plans be submitted to show the following modifications. A, find final locations for all mechanicals, transformers, and utilities. All mechanical equipment, transformers, and utility boxes, ground, building, and rooftop shall be screened from view. B, the location and elevations of fencing or railing with a minimum height of 3 feet and maximum height of 4, defining the outdoor dining areas. C, that all revised plans are submitted to community development prior to submitting of any permit applications. 3, that this approval by Plan Commission shall expire within 12 months after the date of approval if a building permit has not been issued.
Guzekowski, second.
Roll call, beginning with, where do we go? Brad?
Seibert, no.
Chandler, aye.
And I.
Bouch, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Oldani, aye.
Okay, thank you, guys. Item 9, site and architectural review. This is for the construction of the combustion turbines and LNG storage tank and various accessory buildings at the We Energy campus located at 10770 South Chicago Road. Christie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item before you, you may recall that the conditional use permit for the operation shift from coal to liquefied natural gas was introduced to the Plan Commission in January and then was finally adopted by the Common Council at the end of March. So a condition of approval to that conditional use permit was that sites, landscaping, architectural plans for the construction of the the LNG tank and the combustion turbines, along with the accessory buildings, be presented before the Plan Commission. So that is what is before you this evening. You may recall that the plans showed 5 new CTs on the northern end of the specific internal parcel within the huge facility, the We Energies facility. So this is very internal. You cannot see this area unless you have the special access to enter the site. The public will not see this from a ground perspective other than the height. But what's proposed is the construction of 5 CTs. You see the road highlighted in yellow text there. It says road to be removed. There's a roundabout. That is where the CTs and accessory structures will be constructed. The pond will be relocated and the storage building there will be demolished. And then the LNG tank and accommodating buildings and equipment will go where the existing coal pile is located a little bit further south. So we'll first focus on the LNG tank and accessory buildings area, again, where the coal pile is today. So the LNG tank is capable of holding approximately 25 million gallons of liquefied natural gas. It includes a gas compressor building, a glycol, electrical, and liquefaction building, GEL building, and an administration building to accompany the LNG tank. So first, the tank itself is approximately 161 feet in height. With the equipment that will be on top of the tank, it will total approximately 170 feet. And then this is just showing you a plan view, or excuse me, a elevation of, if you were at the ground level, of the accommodating buildings and equipment and their heights. So again, 170 feet for the equipment on top of the tank. The tank itself is 206 feet wide. It is ginormous, something you've never seen before. And then with that are accessory buildings. So the GCB building, as it's called, is a 50 by 131 foot building, 29 feet tall. It's constructed of insulated precast concrete wall panels. It's got a standing seam metal roof, steel canopies over the doors, and some overhead doors. One thing to make mention, as was highlighted in the packet, that this particular building, again, is constructed 100% of the precast concrete walls, and then a few other buildings are constructed the same. The code does allow for exterior building materials, 100% of the exterior facades to be constructed of concrete with a 3/4 majority approval of the Plan Commission. Again, these are buildings that no one sees unless you're an employee of We Energies. It's not viewable from the public, from the property lines. The second building next to the LNG tank is what they call the GEL building. It's 75 foot by 228 feet, a little bit larger, 31 feet tall. However, there's boiler stacks, and from above grade, they will go up to about 71 feet in height. This building is also constructed of the insulated precast concrete walls, standing seam metal roof, steel canopies over various doors, and then will also include overhead doors for equipment to machinery equipment to go in and out of the building easily. And then the third building in this particular section of the facility is a new administration building. There is one currently a little bit north next to the new CTs. This is a second administration building that will be constructed. Its size is 66 feet by 145 feet, and it's 18 feet tall. This building is constructed of insulated metal panels on a structural steel frame. Standing seam metal roof, canopies over the doors, and does have 9 windows on the west elevation. Again, not necessarily meeting the typical architectural materials that the Plan Commission sees, but again, an interior building that will not be visible from public view. And also, again, doesn't meet the ground floor building materials that are called out in the code, but could be approved with a 3/4 majority approval from the Plan Commission. So the northern part of the new construction is the 5 CTs and an accessory building, the fuel gas compressor building. So you can see the 5 CTs are in a kind of a north-south configuration. It's just a lot of really big equipment. The combustion turbines have the 5 exhaust stacks, and they are going to be 90 feet in height, and then accommodating very complex equipment to go with that. And then, again, the construction of one building next to the CTs, the fuel gas compressor building, will be 70 feet by 140 feet in area, 30 feet tall, and this will also be constructed of the insulated precast concrete wall panels. There is no new landscaping proposed with this particular project. Again, a bird's eye view, very tall bird's eye view. There's, the We Energies, the campus has large mounds of piles to try to block the view of the equipment and the facility from the residential neighborhood. The residents, of course, have been notified of the proposal, and We Energies felt there was sufficient existing landscaping to screen the new construction from view. One note to make is north of the existing coal pile where the LNG tank and accommodating buildings will be constructed, a new fence will be constructed just along the north side there. So all outdoor light fixtures will be fully shielded and directed downward. They do meet the code. Of course, they're not going to splay beyond the property line because it's such a very large campus, and they will not be visible from outside the perimeter. The existing stormwater basin will be drained and backfilled. That's where the CT stacks will be constructed, and then a new wet detention pond will be constructed just to the east, south and east of the CTs. MMSD has confirmed that Chapter 13 regulations do not apply to this particular site, and as mentioned, no new landscaping is proposed. With that being said, the suggested motion is before you. Staff did ask for just a more detailed and labeled plans, and we've been in communication with We Energies. They do have that available and have provided one of the plans already to me. So we spoke before the meeting as well, and they don't have any issues with the two recommendations that we're suggesting.
Okay, thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Before we go to the commission, does the applicant want to wait on questions, or you want to say a few words? Okay, they're going to wait on questions. Commissioner Chandler?
I do have questions for the applicant. If you could introduce.
Name and address, folks.
Richard O'Connor, 7720 Milwaukee Avenue, Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, project manager with We Energies.
Jennifer Bogner, 16040 Siesta Lane, Brookfield, and I am the Director of Local Affairs for WEC.
So one of my first questions is in regards to the transition coal. So you'll be still utilizing the coal while building this. So they'll be in two different locations. And the reason I asked that, because I thought I heard that one of these tanks or areas will be on top of where the coal was. So I'm just trying to see how this operates.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, right now there is two coal facilities. There's the northern facility, which is known as the Elm Road Generating Station, and there's the southern coal plant, which are the plants built back in the 50s and 60s. All of the southern plant will be retired by the end of this year. Two of the units were retired last year. The remaining two will be shut down by the end of this year. So all of that coal goes away, and there are three coal piles, which if you look at this drawing, I don't know if you can show the cursor. Todd, yeah, right to the bottom. Those coal piles remain there, and there's also a coal storage building just to the right, the big white building. So those will remain until 2032. So the Elm Road Generating Station, that's being converted to natural gas by the year 2030, and then it'll run partially on gas and coal as necessary until 2032. And by 2032, all of the coal will be removed from the site.
In regards to adding this new process, I may have missed it in the information. Can you share information on the safety of keeping these different items? What safety standards or measures are in place to maintain, what is it, the GCB, the LNG, missing one, the GEL?
Yeah, there are some very stringent and strict federal standards for construction of these facilities. So the big ones that we will need to comply with it's what's called PHMSA, which is the Pipeline and Hazardous Safety Material Administration, and it's a federal agency. And we have several other LNG plants that we comply with, including a smaller LNG tank that's been on this site since I think the 1960s. We also need to comply with NFPA, the National Fire Protection requirements.
Okay, and one of the reasons that I asked that question is because of the building, which will be made of concrete. So if there are any leaks, would that prevent it from leaving the area and going to surrounding areas where you're leaking gas or something like that? What is preventing that from going beyond that particular structure?
Yeah, the primary area for storage of the liquefied natural gas is the tank itself, and that's what's considered a full containment tank. Essentially has two tanks. The outer tank is made out of carbon steel, and then around there is about 2 feet thick of concrete around the outside of that carbon steel. And there's also an inner tank made out of 9% nickel, which is the primary containment for that liquefied natural gas. So that's all contained within that existing structure.
Thank you.
Brad?
The turbines fed with LP gas, right? Is that underground feeding system that you have, or is it above ground that you're feeding that?
Yeah, the combustion turbines will be fed with natural gas. So the LNG storage tank, is meant to be able to store liquid natural gas. Essentially, we fill it up through the summer, and in the winter, if we run out of natural gas, we essentially got to warm up that liquid and convert it back to natural gas. But to answer your question, yeah, it's underground piping, would come from the LNG or would come from our distribution system with the natural gas piping.
So it is underground. I have a question also for the fire department. And are they prepared to handle any disaster that takes place on your facility? Have you reviewed this with our fire department?
Yeah, we will do training. We supply training. We have 2 newer facilities in Ixonia and the town of LaGrange, and we did training with the fire department to make sure we brought in experts from, I think it was Texas, right? That did a full training so that they understood what we had there.
Yeah, and we're working with We Energies as they're transitioning from coal to liquid natural gas. It becomes a different form of firefighting, and the equipment also changes as well. So Chief Kresick and everybody's been reaching out to the safety professionals.
It's a little different than normal.
A little different.
And how do you handle it if you
Yeah,
do have an
very much
accident
so.
or an explosion? I'm just a little concerned.
Training that we did with the fire departments out west of here, they were very impressed with the training and really appreciated it. So they expressed, I know the chief in Ixonia said to me it was phenomenal training. He really appreciated it. So they feel very prepared.
Thank you.
This is a pretty high-profile project, so I don't have a whole lot of questions. No, nothing right now. I'm good for the moment.
No questions.
Steve?
No questions.
Christine?
I think one of my questions, it was just answered. One of mine is if you have any evacuation plan in case of a broke in a machine or something like that. So do you have an evacuation plan, and have you trained your staff what to do and how to leave?
Yeah, we will work with the fire department on an emergency response plan similar to what we currently have on the existing LNG tank on the site, as well as similar to what we've just recently last year developed with the town of LaGrange and the town of Ixonia. So yeah, there will be an emergency response plan and just how to deal with it.
Exactly, not just for your employees, but also because you have residential area around you, so also how to contain that, or maybe to go out and alert them or something from that perspective. So just put this in mind if something have to be planned for.
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
I myself, I don't have a lot of questions is this is a highly regulated industry, probably one of the most regulated industries in the country. Buildings itself, Christy referred to it, they're so far off anything from the city that unless you're in there, you will not see it. Even the heights that are being explained are going to be so far from the eye. Naked eye, you wouldn't be able to guess how high they really are. You know, they build these things for a reason. I mean, we need a reliable grid, and we're transitioning off of coal. This is a cleaner fuel going forward. It's going to be a very good project. They have been working hand in hand with the city as well as we transition, and we lose those turbines. As you know, the power plant is a big part of the history of the city of Oak Creek, and it'll continue to be. I spoke a little bit about fire. I am not the expert on that, but we've always worked hand in hand with Clean Energies. And believe me, they take safety very seriously. They're day in and day out, not just when they're building. So, Jeff, do you want to add anything, please? I don't want to speak for you guys, but I know, we have the best fire department in the land here, and they're going to work with we as to what they need going forward with this new type of energy.
Assistant Chief Jeff Malice, Oak Creek Fire. We Energies has always been great with training us with the tunnel and with the coal and coal dust, so really have no concerns with that. They've always been great giving us the training we needed.
You ever have the opportunity, if we ever do the doors wide open, or you get a chance to go through, it is an amazing place. Really take for granted power, and just how reliable it is and what it takes to generate that. So this is really going to be highly efficient.
I was just going to ask, can I visit the building after it's done? I want to come and see. Okay.
I have one question. Are they anticipating any delays in any of this stuff? Because I know there's a lot of delays in construction on getting parts, and this is a lot of big buildings and a lot of stuff going in these things. Are they anticipating any delays?
At this point, no delays. Yeah, we've been fortunate to pre-order some of this equipment, and yeah, we're on track with the state approvals as well. So no delays are anticipated.
Be a very well orchestrated project. There's a lot going on here. As Jossie alluded to, the coal cannot get rid of the power. Replacing the existing power going forward. So, there's no further discussions or questions. Motion on 9.
Oldani moves that the Plan Commission approves site and architectural plans for construction of combustion turbines, an LNG storage tank, and various accessory buildings at the We Energies campus located at 10770 South Chicago Road with the following conditions. 1, that revised plans be submitted to show the following modifications. A, labeling of all the building materials, including roofs, doors, windows, awnings, etc., for all accessory structure buildings. B, a demolition plan showing removal of existing structures, roads, and retention ponds. 2, that all revised plans are submitted electronically to the Community Development Department prior to submitting for any permit applications.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call, beginning with Chauncey.
Chandler, aye.
And I.
Bauchai.
Kavich, aye.
Guzikowski, aye.
Oldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Okay, thank you, folks. Now here's something I hope you'll really like. It is site and architectural plan review for the construction of a beer garden at Abendschein Park located at 1321 East Drexel. Christie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You stole my thunder. I was going to start off by saying this is a fun project here. So everyone's familiar with Abendschein Park, zoned P1 Park District with some floodway going through. The proposal is the construction of a beer garden facility and accommodating amenities. So the city's strategic action plan did identify a goal of developing, constructing a beer garden at Abendschein Park. Design was completed about 3 years ago. However, it blew the budget. And so the city had to kind of pivot And an operator actually brought the concept of these shipping containers to the city. And so what the city's been doing, staff's been working to move forward with this new idea, an alternative shipping container design for the main building. So with that would be accommodating amenities, which include a covered seating area, a pergola with picnic tables, bocce ball courts, playground, and potential future stage, which at this point is not budgeted for, but there's a placeholder for one. So the site plan you see before you, north is up. As you may be aware, the city did have a significant construction project last year where they expanded the parking lot at Abendschein, so there are 199 parking spaces today. And so obviously that parking accommodates this future beer garden. So the construction would be 240 by 8 foot shipping containers in the middle. And then you would have 220 by 8 foot shipping containers on the north end and 220 by 8 foot containers on the south end. And they would be constructed, put together, kind of like building blocks. And so you'd have 7 they're fully built out and then shipped here and assembled on site. You also have a covered area where when you would go and order from the west side of the building, you'd be covered. They'd have the windows, the service windows that open and close. And then it also has the 30 foot by 30 foot covered seating area. And then a little bit further west, the 2 bocce ball courts. So the building, again, will have that flip up serving window. It would have a rooftop deck system on top. Whoops, sorry, this is just a little zoom in area. Forgot to mention portable restrooms in the back end and then a dumpster enclosure as required on the very east end of the poured concrete area. And so here are the pretty pictures. The rooftop decking will have the fabric umbrella type features to protect from heavy sun and potential rain weather elements. The rooftop deck can accommodate up to 75 people. The beer garden facility can accommodate up to approximately 300 people in total. And again, you can see the covered area where you go up in order. So the motif is like the German look, Tudor motif. Those shipping containers themselves would have a 3M decal wrap on the exterior. This is a night view. And then this is if you were sitting underneath that 30 foot by 30 foot covered area. You would be protected with a pergola, just so that, the strong sun and weather elements can somewhat protect you. And then if you were standing inside, this is roughly a concept of what the interior would look like. And then again, just some pretty pictures of the bocce ball courts. So this is a little bit further detail of what the 30 foot by 30 foot pergola area would look like. And then also to mention on the south side of the beer garden area, so the north side of the parking lot, would be a split rail fence to protect and just kind of provide a divide between the parking and the actual park itself. And then there would be landscaping in between sections of the split rail fence. So these are examples of what these companies can do with shipping containers. We're not talking about a rusty old container that may come to mind at first when you hear the word shipping containers, but there is a lot that companies can do with these spaces, if you will. It can get really creative and really cool looking, and that's the vibe that the city is going for with this particular design. It's a one-time use, so this container, yes, has been used once, but it's not like it's been sitting around weathered for 30 years. That's not the case here, but just wanted to show you the creativity and that these shipping containers companies can really do with these products. It's pretty impressive these days. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the site and architectural plans. Also note that the Park and Rec Commission was presented with the concept of a beer garden at Abendschein Park in November of '24. There wasn't necessarily a vote, but it was a consensus from the committee that they, were comfortable moving forward with the beer garden being at Abendschein. Also to mention that the Parks and Rec Commission did provide a suggestion motion to the Common Council for the playground equipment. And then the Common Council recently approved one particular design of the playground equipment. So Parks and Rec Commission were provided two different designs. They provided a particular recommendation of one design to the Common Council, and that the funding for that equipment was recently approved by the Common Council. Also to note that shortly the design of the actual containers and the construction and purchase will be bid out. Maybe Matt can provide a little more better details on the timing of that. But over the next month or two, we do anticipate sending out documents to be bid on for the actual containers and design of them. More detailed design, I should say.
Thank you, Christy.
You're welcome.
Before we go to commission, I'm going to invite Matt Trebodowski up from DPW, and he'll just kind of run down the process of these containers.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Happy to answer any questions. I think Christy did an excellent job kind of explaining what we're going for. We've been in the process of getting this designed with a company that's done several of these successfully, as you've seen some of the examples presented here. So we're excited to get going on this project and work with them. That's obviously going to be something that's out of our realm as far as we would be bidding in the next month or so, bidding out the build out or construction of the inside of these containers as well as outside design. And then moving forward, or prior to that even, over the summer and into the fall, the Public Works Department will be working on a lot of the concrete and foundational work, as well as installing the pergolas that, as you had seen, and working on getting the playground put into place ahead of schedule, hopefully with the goal of getting those things done by the fall before winter, and hopefully opening up the playground to the community ahead of time for use immediately, with then the shipping containers being delivered in early spring, if not, we'll call it late winter, so that we're looking for a grand opening, if you will, with the operator to start their business in May of 2026. Happy to answer questions if you have any.
Actually, I have a question for Christy. Is this can it be rented if someone wanna rent these?
Actually, it's, I think that the answer is no, right?
Correct.
Matt?
Yeah, so it would be built for the operation of the beer garden and the beer garden vendor. However, they will have the opportunity for people, whether it's businesses or families, to do like, a family reunion, or if a business wanted to have a company picnic or something like that, they definitely would look to accommodate that if people were interested, and they could, facilitate the service.
Yeah, sorry, I should clarify my answer, and I only know this because the operator did a presentation in front of the Common Council. They said that, yes, as Matt just mentioned, you could, I guess, kind of rent, but it will always remain open to the public. It will never be just for that particular group renting it.
Yes, so like, for example, if I wanna rent it for my daughter's event, and especially have a stage, and we bring like someone and friends come over, and I know people can come over, but is there any way just to kind of exclude it?
No, it will, the operator specifically said it will, you have to accept that it will always be open to the public as well at the same time. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
No, I love the idea. The idea of the shipping containers was a great idea. Question I do have is protecting the brick pavers and the brand new parking lot that was put in not too long ago. You're going to be bringing all these shipping containers and all this work. What's the thoughts on protecting that parking lot?
Well, we're certainly going to do the best we can to protect that, and we did make the designers at least aware of that. That was going to be, we're going to have to work with that as they did essentially delivering the containers and setting them down. So, we're going to avoid it as much as possible, and if there is damage done, it's certainly going to need to be restored.
And if this head needs to be restored, will that be something that the city will be responsible for, I'm assuming? Sure, okay. No, I have no further questions. Long time coming.
Chris? I think it looks good, no questions.
Don?
So can you go to the overhead kind of layout with the measurements and? Yeah, yep. So is this the final layout, we think? Because I noticed the renderings have a lot of different things in all the rendering pictures. Is this what was settled as far as the layout's going to be? Like
Yeah.
the bocce ball courts, the playground, everything in this order?
Yeah, you're right. The renderings kind of had to reverse some things. Reverse the bocce ball actually went east west.
Yeah, there's a
they
couple
came
things in
first.
there.
They're probably about a year old at least.
Yep.
This was just hot off the press from our engineering department
Okay.
designing this. This is what Matt's going to use for bidding.
Okay, all right, good. I was just kind of curious what the final was and what, just kind of a side conversation, what would it take to get the stage in there?
Money? You want to donate?
And to tell you the truth, I mean, you know, as we go forward, you know, there could be corporate partners. At least my vision is to get Knights Construction involved.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Building it as well.
Name it after them.
You know, I mean, the pergola too, whether they could help with that. But I do think that's a project they could handle in a timely manner if the designs were there.
So that wouldn't prevent us from still having a live band there. They just
No,
wouldn't
yeah.
have.
Keep in mind, it's a phased development, and we do have an outside vendor. And there is an agreement in place, a 5-year agreement, with an operator that's very experienced with this, and all part of the proceeds of the sales of this park come back to be invested into the park. So, for example, first year they may operate with very nice porta potty trailers, and then depending on how the money comes in, we'll put in bigger and better permanent facilities, and that's how we're going to do it. So you know, if we don't get the stage the first time, they may improvise and have those guys.
Yeah, I guess that's my question, right? His plan is still to have, you know, these aren't the type of places where you have some big loud rock band, but just so we can still have somebody on there with or
Right.
without the stage, somebody out there, you know, laying it down, I guess.
I mean, if we have to go with a temporary stage, sort of what we do at Town Square.
Yeah.
For the people that come in, like last week for the pop-up garden.
I've been to a lot of these things, and I noticed like a lot of times they have a pretty chill band, 1 or 2 people. You can kind of stuff them almost anywhere. So I'm not too worried about that. The stage would be cool, so hopefully that happens. I mean, I'm pretty pumped about this. Yeah, long time coming. So I don't really have any other questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Who's going to maintain this facility? I mean, is it the city's responsibility, or who kind of takes charge of this? I mean, there's got to be some maintenance on the grounds and so forth. So who is the main person that's responsible?
Ultimately, within the grounds there, for the most part, the operator is going to be responsible for the garbage and the maintenance. The city obviously is still going to be the owner of the facility itself. And then we've kind of laid out as far as they're going to take care of it and maintain it as far as cleaning and replacement of small things. Obviously, larger things, just kind of like a tenant landlord relationship. The city would be responsible down the road for repair of larger items related to the building or the facility itself.
Who's responsible for scheduling activities?
That will be all on the operator to handle that.
That'll be who?
The operator or the vendor, the business that will be occupying the space.
The Common Council has entered into an agreement for a 5-year agreement for an operator to completely run this. The city's not running this.
Oh.
Okay, so they'll schedule everything. and-
Absolutely.
Yep.
They hire, they run the show.
Yep.
They
So
have
they bring in-
existing
Okay.
very similar situations in other communities.
And then I just have a question about the fire pits. I'm a little concerned about those. That
Sure.
they're sitting on tables or whatever they
No,
have.
the location, and it isn't shown on this particular one. I think it got missed with when we were putting together the final site plan, unfortunately, but they would really be off to the east or to the right side of that future stage area. They wouldn't be close to the main seating, covered seating space. And it would be, yeah, it would be gas fireplace.
So there will be raised fire
fire pit.
pits with tables around it and so forth. I'm just a little concerned.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to plan that out right as far as the location.
gas powered.
They're gas powered.
So it's not like people are gonna bring sticks of wood to have to stoke up the fire. It's gonna be run by the people who are managing.
Okay,
Similar to what you see at hotels, things like that.
okay. Just curious. Thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, a long time coming. Long time coming. We looked at this. We started pop-ups. Basically, when I became the mayor, to see if we had the market. We definitely had interest. We're at Abendschein. We've been here lately. The trick is the city shouldn't be in the beer business. Making it work for our pop-up events. But we have a quality vendor. These are the same guys that do Petrified Springs. They just opened in Bristol. They run a pretty, they know what they're doing. It's a classy organization. It took a while to get here. She said it best. It just blew the budget. Back to the drawing board. This really fits the mood. This is not, as Don said, a place to hear loud music, stuff like that. This is going to be a very family-oriented park. If you've been in one of his parks, you can see it. Families are there. The kids are there. Swing sets for the kids. Some of those other buildings, or maybe ice cream, ices, things of that nature. Food's limited. It's not a full-service restaurant, but they provide that. And then at the end of the season, when they decide it's time to open and close, depending on weather, they will shut it down. Things will be stored there, and as Matt said, we own those buildings. So, grass maintenance, things of that nature is ours. And then, of course, depending on how they do, each winter, a different amenity could be added or an improvement could go in. If we ever get to the point where the improvements aren't needed, whatever the agreed upon sum is, could go into parks as well. So, I think it's going to be a great addition to the city myself. Hopefully, as I said, we can get the community more involved. As these kids in high school want to shadow, and our DPW is going to try to take care of as much as they can going forward. I think there's going to be a tremendous buzz. Very different.
Can corporations rent this facility out?
You know, Matt alluded to that, and it's always going to be open to the public. But if you've ever been like to Summerfest, on top of the buildings, the vendor stands, the Miller Lite stage, there's always a captain's deck. I'm sure a portion of it could be reserved. You know, maybe they'd put up a rope line, and if you got a stamp, you get in. That can be worked out through the vendor, but as Matt said, it will always be public access as well. And it would probably be in that top deck. It's not to say that they couldn't rope off an area for somebody, but I'm sure people will figure out how to utilize it.
I have a question. I know you said the answer is no. Have renting the place or some of that for special event could be considered to be some of the revenue that could be adding more to the park?
There is basically a shared revenue part of it. That's part of that agreement that the Common Council approved. The city's parks will receive a portion of revenue that the operator makes.
What I'm saying is there could be additional revenue. If
I think that's all negotiated already.
Okay, thank you.
Just one quick question with the vendor. So we got this, it's still Oak Creek's park, right? This is all going to be Oak Creek's property. We're buying all the stuff. They're just running it.
We're not buying it, actually. They're, the picnic tables, everything on that is their specification.
Oh, is there specification that, but it's theirs?
It's theirs.
It's theirs, okay, but like the shipping containers?
The shipping containers are ours.
Are ours.
So, you know, the contents, I take that back. The coolers would be ours, things of that nature. As far as picnic tables go, benches, things like that, they're specifying that. They really want an authentic German garden, and they actually go to Germany for this stuff.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, public access at all times because it's a public park. A lot of times when you're at these things, you see people, they show up and they get bring their chairs, right? And maybe one day we do have a stage. Was there any kind of agreement other than what's already the ordinances as far as having alcohol in parks and so forth? A lot of people like to bring their picnic baskets. Sometimes they like to bring a bottle of wine if they're not into the beer. Was that in any kind with the agreement with the vendor as far as and who would even, police that?
And that would actually fall to the vendor to police that end of it. As you know, carry-ins are illegal anywhere in the city.
Mhm.
So I mean, you can get permits for parties. It's weird to say Miller Park, but it's our Miller Park.
Right.
Or if you want to rent out Lake Vista, you can get a beer wine permit to do those things. But for the most part, it is a business. I don't know if they operate on the same level of the county ones, because the county allows you to bring in a sandwich or what have you. I've only been to Pets a few times, and I can't really speak as to anybody really carrying it. They are a functioning business, so I would think they'd frown a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm actually thinking more of the food. I mean, we're not going to be naive to say somebody's like, well, I don't drink beer. I'm assuming they're going to have other options there, maybe. But the food-wise, I mean, they couldn't prevent. I mean, it's a public park. I don't know how you could prevent somebody.
It's true, but again, I don't think their food service is going to go without it. What I experienced when we went and checked out the park, everybody was pretty much partaking in their food. They wouldn't call it a full service kitchen, but they had your expected food, your pretzels, your brats, your hot dogs, your chicken, things of that nature, stuff for the kids.
Yep. I was just kind of wondering where the line of, your public rights to be in that park and do the usual things, where that line is versus their, business.
I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah.
I'll drink to that.
Fire, anything? Nothing. Holy smokes.
Quick
Okay.
question, is there any, price on the band shelter? Has that ever been priced out, what it would cost? Or there wasn't a design for it or anything? For the band shelter, was there ever a price for it figured out, or is there a design? I don't remember.
There's not a price or design on the
No design at all, okay.
stage area, no.
Yeah, okay.
I think we're just at budget max right now.
At this place, it's a placeholder.
Yeah.
Because, you'd have to bring the service out there. There'd be some significant costs going
A pop-up tent will do for now.
for now. Any other discussion? Seeing none, motion?
Seifert moves that the Plan Commission approves the site and architectural plans for the construction of a beer garden at Avasheen Park located at 1321 East Drexel Avenue.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call, beginning with Christine.
And I.
Bouch, aye.
David, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Oldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Okay. Before we get to adjournment, just one announcement. Tomorrow is the Clock Tower Classic. For those of you that don't know what the Clock Tower Classic is it's bicycle racing right here in Drexeltown Square. So the square will be shut down tomorrow morning. Watch news. I'm sure the news will be out here covering it. And you're gonna have amateur and professional bike racers racing all around the square until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Professionals take to the roads. And you can set up, you can watch in the square, you can bring your food, you can bring your chairs, and watch it. So it's really going to be quite the event, something Oak Creek has never seen or experienced, and we're looking very forward to it. So,
Is there a map or showing route of the?
So basically, go ahead, Christy. It's basically a circle. So if you're starting at, let's say, Bel Air, I don't know where the starting line will be, but let's call it Bel Air. You're going to race down to Zune. You're going to turn left. You're going to turn left again. And then when you hit where Gigi's was, you're going to turn left again. And when you hit Bel Air, you're going to turn left. It's a race around. I don't know if it's a quarter mile around or what have you. But this is a professional circuit. It's going all over the state. Oak Creek is very proud to be hosting this. First year we've done it. Yep. City Hall will be closed tomorrow because it will be you won't be able to access any of the roads here. So that's 6th Street, Market Street. Really? Yeah, anyways, it's going to be quite the deal. And they'll, till 8 p.m. The last race wraps up around 8 p.m. And I believe it starts about 6:30. So, I mean, they got to go multiple miles.
The race begins at 10 a.m.
Yeah, there's races, there's heats, and there's different class levels, amateur, professional, probably age groups as well. I don't know if it's men, women's as well. So it's an all-day event.
It's America's
Dairyland.
What is the acronym?
Tour.
TOAD. Touring of America's Dairyland. TOAD. Yep.
Yeah.
So they bounce around to different cities
Yeah.
throughout Wisconsin.
So they were up in Cedarburg today. I know they were in West Allis last week because I got detoured around West Allis or going through the streets. Kind of think of Tour de France.
Is it on Oak Creek's website?
Yes, if you go to visit Oak Creek, all the information should be there.
Okay.
Excellent. There's no further business come before us. I will ask for adjournment.
Seifert moves to adjourn at 8:10.
Guzikowski will second.
Hey, roll call, beginning with Steve.
Bouch, aye.
David Chai.
Guzikowski, aye.
Aldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Hannah, aye.
Okay, we stand adjourned.